Welcome to Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. I'm Bruce Weiner.
And I'm Sven Oehme. Our stories tonight: a marshland restoration project is proposed for Mamaroneck.
Nita Lowy makes a tight security appearance at Town Hall.
Commuter parking permits are up for renewal.
New opportunities for recycling are announced.
Larchmont Democrats in a likely all-win situation.
And our LMC News restaurant reporter is back with another review.
A 1,500 square feet marshland restoration project may soon get underway at Guyan Creek. The Mamaroneck Village Board gave a preliminary approval to the project. Larchmont Yacht Club made the proposal as part of its restitution for violating state wetlands laws. The project still has to be approved by Mamaroneck's Coastal Zone Management Commission and the State Department of Environmental Conservation. In 1988, the Yacht Club built a 100-foot breakwater along Larchmont Harbor, which destroyed 400 square feet of wetlands without permission by the Department of Environmental Conservation. The club later agreed to a $17,500 fine and to recreate the marshland the construction had destroyed at a 3-to-1 ratio.
On Sunday, February 10th, Congresswoman Nita Lowy came to Mamaroneck Town Hall to address her constituency. Security was very tight. Police officers were checking all bags and the building for possible bombs. Even LMC-TV's Debbie Slansky, who was at the meeting to provide us with the following footage, had all equipment checked and an officer was always at her side. Congresswoman Lowy used the opportunity to discuss the war in the Gulf and local issues.
The support for those young and men and women who are over there, and with all my heart, that's where we are now. The Congress is not divided. There are some who may have other strategies, but I and most of my colleagues feel strongly we are there, we're in a war, we have young men and women on the lines, we have to protect them, we have to support them, and we have to bring them home after a decisive victory as soon as possible.
Larchmont Democrats may hold every elected position in the village after the election on March 19th. There are 2 trustees' seats to be filled. One of them is currently held by Democrat John Berry and the other one by Republican Jeffrey Young. Both trustees are not seeking re-election. Therefore, even in the worst-case scenario, the Democrats will still have a 3-to-2 majority. In next week's edition of our news program, we will introduce all candidates from Larchmont and Mamaroneck. So don't forget to watch that special edition during the week of February 25th. Bruce?
To bring us up to date, we spoke with Joe Windisch about the recent air pirating that went on in Rybrook and to see if it could happen here.
Joe, I read in the paper that Rybrook had quite a bit of a problem with a porno movie coming out on their local access channel. What does the future hold for us? Is that possible?
They did, and I was concerned that it actually happened to my friend Jim Kenny in Rye, but it was Rybrook, and it certainly is technically possible for someone to play a tape that you rent at any old video store, put the tape into the machine and play it over the system. But you would have to be able to access the building here, or also then know how the routing switchers and all of the equipment that we have in here works in order to do that. So the person who did it, whoever did it probably did know the system well enough, because this was not an instance where someone tapped into the cable wires up on a telephone pole. The reason that I would say it wasn't that kind of an instance is because it was too small of a return for the bother. If somebody was going to go up into a telephone pole and then hook up their VCR so that they could play this porno back, they would probably hit all of Westchester. And the way the system is structured, there are local loops in like Larchmont and Mamaroneck. We have little LMC-TV. Rybrook had something else. So in all likelihood, it was somebody, a physical person, going into a space, putting a tape in a deck, and not doing a very good job of it, as they didn't get the audio, they only got the video.
Mamaroneck Village started to renew annual commuter parking permits last week. Resident commuters can renew permits through the mail by returning their completed applications, along with a photocopy of their car registration, a stamped self-addressed envelope, and their check for $190.35 payable to the Village of Mamaroneck. Permits can be renewed in person at Village Hall from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Clerk Treasurer Leonard Verestro also announced that a limited number of non-resident railroad parking permits are available for $370.13 per year. Mamaroneck station commuters should be aware that the MTA is currently converting most of its parking meter spaces beginning March 1st. 187 railroad permits for those spaces on MTA property will be available to residents and non-residents. These permits will be issued based on a lottery system at a cost of $350 per year.
If you are using Metro North to commute to Grand Central Station, you have the chance to take part in an effort by the railroad to step up the recycling of newspapers. At the end of each platform, you will find large bins where you can deposit your newspaper. So next time you ride Metro North to New York, if you don't need your paper, deposit it in one of those bins.
At the Maxwell Avenue depot near the New York Thruway entrance enlargement, recycling materials are being collected. New to the list of materials they will now accept are small metals and household batteries. While the batteries are not actually recycled, they are carted away by the mercury refinery in order to remove high levels of mercury from waste stream where waste is usually incinerated. This company provides the environmentally sound disposal of all types of household batteries. Newspapers are neatly stacked. There are bins for plastic containers and 3 kinds of glass: amber, green, and clear. Newspapers can also be placed curbside on Wednesday mornings in all 3 municipalities.
And now our school news reporter, Monique Citron.
Merit Scholarship finalists have been announced, and big congratulations to Jeremy Barrows, Elizabeth Bradley, Jennifer Abrams, and Jessica Lissy. Jessica Lissy is also a semifinalist in the 1991 Presidential Scholarship Program. In a unanimous vote, the Mamaroneck Board of Education voted last week to place about 12 homeless children in the district for 1 year. It's part of a voluntary county-wide effort. Superintendent Norman Kolb explained that the children would probably be distributed equally between the 6 schools, no more than 2 to a school. The plan would be to provide everything the child needs. All costs would be fully reimbursed, and so there would be no fiscal responsibility to the district.
That it represents correctly a regional response to a regional problem. I'm very proud of the fact that Mamaroneck is one of those 10. I think it's very forward-looking and symbolically important. Symbolically important whether or not we are ever asked to make a place available. And the fact that we are on record as being willing to participate in a regional voluntary placement program is quite a tribute to this district. And so it's with that spirit that I presented to the board and the community.
Robert Dubuff, an 8th grader at Hamax, has a special project coming up in order to achieve the Eagle Scout badge. LMC News spoke with him.
I'm here with Robert Dubuff, who is a Life Scout and involved in a very special project. Robert, tell us why you're doing a blood drive.
Well, Life Scout is the 2nd highest rank in Boy Scouts, and Eagle Scout is the 1st highest. And for my Eagle Scout, I have to do a special community project. My project is going to be a blood drive.
And who are you sending the blood to? What's it for? What are you collecting it for?
Well, it goes to the the United Hospital, and they usually get it from outside agencies. And if they're more self-dependent, then they don't need as much blood from the outside agencies.
Okay, but is it eventually going out of the country? Did you say something about the soldiers?
Yeah, the less that we use from the outside agencies, the more that goes to the soldiers.
I see, and they need it very badly?
Well, not yet, but very soon there's expected to be a lot of casualties.
They're preparing?
Yeah.
And you heard that?
Yeah.
So where do we go to give blood?
Well, you go to the United Methodist Church, 546 East Boston Post Road.
Yeah. When?
It's March 10th, 9 to 12:30.
Okay, and do we call someone special to make an appointment?
You call me at my house, 834-7961, to make an appointment.
Well, you know your subject very well. Okay, thank you. I hope it's very successful.
Another pet of the week. Henry is a 2.5-month-old Beagle Dobie puppy. Good company, very mellow, good with children. The New Rochelle Humane Society has so many dogs and cats to choose from that Henry would love to go home with someone.
Soon you'll be able to watch French programming thanks to a gift of a satellite dish from the French Information Service to Larchmont-Mamaroneck Community Television. It's going to be placed right above us on the roof of the high school. So if you see it going up, stop and say bonjour, or is that merci?
At last, another restaurant review. Restaurant reviewer Sonny Goldberg found another delicious restaurant in Larchmont. Sherwood's, 2136 Boston Post Road.
I'm Sonny Goldberg, restaurant reporter for LMC News, sitting here with Jack Hecker, owner and manager of Sherwood's. And in front of me is the most wonderful smelling baby back ribs.
Yep, baby back ribs.
And yeah, I understand you do a lot of business in baby back ribs.
We sell about 3 or 4 cases a week.
They just look gorgeous. And your famous French fries?
Yep, homemade.
Okay, now, is this mainly like a bar? I'm not familiar. I mean,
It's more of a pub type atmosphere with good bar patrons and nice dinner patrons and people that come back a couple times a week.
And you have takeout too.
Yep,
I heard that.
Takeout.
And you are open only for dinner.
Only for dinner 7 nights a week.
7 nights a week. Now, how'd you get into baby back ribs?
Well, we had tried them before, and like most places, we didn't do them very well. And then
You're talking to a Kansas City girl I know from Good Ribs.
And then one of my cooks from another who joined us, he had worked in a rib joint and got the recipe, and it was one of the best recipes I've ever tried.
And you said, let's go.
So we wound up putting them on the menus at both restaurants.
Huh. Wow. And you have hamburgers?
We have hamburgers. We specialize basically in ribs and chicken wings. We do a lot of buffalo wings.
Terrific. Well, I think because this smells so good that we got to definitely take a taste here. Hold this, Jack. Oh, they're delicious. It's a wonderful sauce. Well, you can see out there in LMC-TV land that we have a lot of work to do here. Jack, are you going to join me, or
No,
I'm on my own?
You're on your own.
Okay, back to you guys at the studio. Sonny Goldberg from Sherwood's.
It's an excellent pub atmosphere, and if you have the opportunity to be there on a Friday or Saturday night, you can enjoy live music after 10 p.m.
On Valentine's Day, February 14th, the internationally renowned Moscow Conservatory Trio performed at the Emlyn Theater. International Creative Management granted Larchmont-Mamaroneck Community Television permission to tape the performance for future airing on Channel 36. Thank you, ICM.
Larchmont resident Jeffrey Moriber had an extremely well-received showing of his paintings at the Graphic Pleasures Gallery, 147 Larchmont Avenue. He has won numerous awards for design, illustration, and film. Accompanying each of his paintings, which he calls Emotions of the Moment, is a short poem Moriber wrote himself. The paintings will be on display for the remainder of the month of February. That's it for another edition of Larchmont-Mamaroneck Community News. Don't forget to join us again next week when we'll have a special election edition and your opportunity to meet the candidates. Good evening.
See you next week.
and welcome to LMC News and this special election edition report concerning the village of Larchmont and the 4 trustee positions that, I should say 4 candidates who are vying for 2 trustee positions in the village of Larchmont. There are 4 candidates, 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats, and in the next few minutes we'll be having a conversation with all 4 of them. One of the 2 Democrats running for a trustee position in Larchmont, Judy O'Gorman. Judy, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, professionally, I work as a public relations consultant, mainly as a project manager on publications, special events, and meetings. And indeed, that has helped me to think about village problems because I create budgets, I monitor expenses, and I negotiate contracts through my work.
Why do you want to be a trustee in Larchmont?
Well, it's a wonderful community. It's given me a lot, and I'm a past president of the League of Women Voters. We get very involved in local issues. Actually, the first thing I did in the Larchmont League was as voter service chair for a village election, and looked around and said, this village is perfect, how can there be an issue? And in starting to think about it, discovered that there were some. And
which leads me to, what do you see as the key issues?
Well, at that time, there were issues that now pale in comparison to the economic situation that we're in. At that time, it was viability of the commercial district and parking and environmental concerns, which we still have, in maintaining the value of our community. And I think that Long Island Sound is terribly important for that. But at this point in time, the major issue is an economic one of tough type management of the tax funds and maintaining services. We have the property tax of the entire bill of Larchmont is less than 25%, and for that we receive direct services.
Mm-hmm. Well, how do you propose to possibly solve some of these fiscal problems?
Well, I think at this point in time, the village is in pretty good shape, and it is really knowing that there is a lot of economic uncertainty, and in being very careful to be maintaining services and be looking for creative solutions should things become more difficult.
Thank you for being with us on LMC News. Judy O'Gorman running as a Democrat for the trustee position in Larchmont for the March 19th election. One of the 2 Republican candidates running for the trustee position in the village of Larchmont is Marion White. Marion, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I moved to Larchmont 8 years ago. I live here with my husband and 2 children who attend Chatsworth Avenue School. I have a bachelor's degree from Wellesley College, an MA and an MBA from the University of Chicago. I've been a professional financial advisor for the last 17 years. I'm also active in local service and other nonprofit groups.
Mm-hmm. Why do you want to be a trustee in Larchmont?
Well, I feel that the important issues facing us beginning the 90s are fiscal issues. And with my financial background, I offer the voters of Larchmont the expertise that I will review costs of the government very carefully.
Mm-hmm. And as far as issues, I guess that would lead into one of the campaign issues. What about issues that face the village of Larchmont in the coming years?
Well, I keep going back to the financial issues. As you well know, the proposed state budget cuts aid to our school district by 50% and also a similar amount to the local government. And how are these funds going to be made up? You probably read today in the newspaper how last year the property owners of Pelham faced a 26% increase in their property tax rate. I don't want that to happen in Larchmont since I'm a property taxpayer.
What about, do you have any ideas on how we might be able to solve some of these fiscal problems?
Well, yes. The analysis of current and historical trends that's been going on is inadequate, and it needs someone that knows what to look for, that understands numbers and how to see what they're saying.
Thank you. Marion White, running as a Republican for the trustee position in the village of Larchmont. With us now is one of the 2 Democratic candidates running for trustee in the village of Larchmont, Sandy Feldman. Sandy, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, Roger. I've lived in Larchmont for 15 years, and I've been an active community member. Recently, now I'm a co-chair of the Larchmont-Mamaroneck Interfaith Council. We've put on 2 seminars in the last year, one on aging and one on prejudice. I recently co-authored the comprehensive resource guide that's been mailed out to all residents in 10538 zip code, the Larchmont-Mamaroneck Directory of Activities, which was a lot of fun to do. I'm a trustee of Larchmont Temple. I've served on the boards of PTAs. I've been the Homics PTA president. I also, this past spring, co-chaired Earth Day Fair at the Larchmont Reservoir, where an estimated 7,000 people went through. That was a local policeman from Larchmont that, I don't know how he counted heads, but I think he tried. I don't know if there were that many, but obviously it was well attended.
Why do you want to be a trustee in Larchmont?
I think I know Larchmont well. I think I've gotten to know its resources and a lot of the needs and concerns of the people. I'd like to be an active participant in its future. I think I would also be fair and open-minded. I think I have a tendency to weigh decisions and make up my own mind about them. And I think I'd be a good representative.
Speaking of the future of Larchmont, what do you see as the issues that we'll be facing?
I think money is going to be a big issue. I mean, I think we have a tight economy, and I think we have to keep a lid on taxes. We have to continue to construct a budget that will maintain our services in a cost-efficient manner. I have worked on budget committees. I've been treasurer, and being on several boards, I've had to evaluate budgets, and I think that will help me to assure that the village money will be well spent. I think the environment is another big issue.
Do you have any ideas on how to keep taxes down, or fiscal ideas?
We really have to study. I'd have to study the budget. I mean, I've just begun doing that. I don't know where it can be tightened. I mean, if it can be tightened at all. But I think we have to be fiscally prudent, and I think we have to be aware of the times. I mean, I really, in whatever we plan.
Thank you for being with us on LMC News. Sandy Feldman, running as a Democrat for trustee in the village of Larchmont on March 19th. Among the 2 Republican candidates running for trustee in the village of Larchmont is Ken Bialo. Ken, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I've lived in the village of Larchmont for about 15 years, and I've been active in community service, Roger, for about 10 years, both in the Little League and the girls softball program in particular, and as a member of the Village of Larchmont Recreation Committee.
And why do you want to be a trustee in the village of Larchmont?
Well, you know, Roger, it's easy to sit back and criticize the way other people are doing their job. But if you really want to help, you have to get up out of the chair and get to work. And I think that this would give me an opportunity maybe to put into action some of the thoughts that have flowed through my mind in respect of the way the village board has performed over the past several years.
Which leads me to ask you, what do you think the issues are?
I think the primary issue is money. I think we all recognize that we're in a time of recession. I think we all appreciate that Governor Cuomo has proposed a cutback in the order of 50% on state aid to municipalities. And I think the key question here is going to be whether we can maintain our current level of services and maintain the quality of our physical plant at the same time that we spend less money and tax our residents at the same or preferably a lower rate.
As for solving these fiscal problems that we have and we are all facing, do you have any ideas immediately come to mind?
Yes, I think that we need to take a very hard look at the budget proposals that are going to be brought forth by the individual departments. As you may know, there are about 500 lines of budget in the Village of Larchmont budget proposal, and we need to take a very hard look at that stuff and assign priorities. That is the essential element, it seems to me. I think that we have to face the fact that non-essential items are not things that we can afford to spend money on at this time, and I guess primary on that list is the expensive and expansive Village Hall renovation project that was proposed for last year, and which may yet come back again after this election. I think we have to look at things like that and put them aside and spend our money on maintaining the quality of our services and physical plant. I would add as a corollary that I think it's essential that we have a real two-party system in the village of Larchmont. I think the access to information and the free exchange of ideas that comes with a two-party system is essential if we are to achieve the objective that we set for ourselves, which is, I really do believe, to maintain our current level services while spending less money.
Thanks for being with us, Ken Bialo, here on LMC News in the Special Election Report. He's running as a trustee on the Republican ticket in the village of Larchmont. The 4 candidates who are running for 2 positions as village trustee. The positions are volunteer. There is no pay involved here. And the election is on March 19th. Be sure you vote. I'm Roger Norham, and thanks for watching this special election edition report of LMC News. This is a special edition of Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. Hello, I'm Roger Norham. Welcome to LMC News and this special election edition report. Over the past couple of weeks, we've had several of the candidates stop by our studios to tell us a little bit about themselves and why they want to run as a mayor or village trustee in the village of Mamaroneck. There are 3 candidates for mayor, 2 for trustee. Here's a look at what they have to say. Anne-Marie Tyrone, who's running as a Democratic candidate for the trustee position in the village of Mamaroneck. Anne-Marie, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, Roger, I've been a resident of Mamaroneck now for 15.5 years, and the longer I've lived here, the more I've become involved in the community. For example, I am the director of KEEPS. I have been the director for the past 8 years.
What is KEEPS?
KEEPS is an after-school program, a local nonprofit organization that services children after school as well as during school holidays. And we have approximately 50 children a day coming through our doors. I'm also active at Mamaroneck Avenue School PTA. I have served as co-president of the PTA as well as a member of PT Council, which is a district-wide organization. I'm also involved at my church, which is St. Vito's. I have served as co-chair of the World Hunger Committee, and I'm also a Eucharist minister there. And last but not least, I'm a full-time wife and mother.
Mm-hmm. Is this your first foray into politics?
It's my first foray into politics, but I have been an active community leader.
Mm-hmm. Why do you want to be a trustee in the village?
Well, I think all of my experiences through work, through my committee work with the PTA, have really given me experiences that I can help contribute to the village. I think they've shown that I have leadership, management, and decision-making skills that are really vital for a person in public office. And I feel that I can contribute a lot to my community.
As far as issues or problems that are facing the village of Mamaroneck in the coming years, or what conceivably would be your tenure, what do you feel are the key points?
Well, I think one of the important issues is going to be budgeting and taxes. Our economy is not in such a healthy state right now, and it is affecting our community. I see it in my after-school program. Parents are being laid off, people are out of work, and I think we have to tighten purse strings. But we have to do it in a way that will still give the benefits to our community in the most economically feasible way.
What about there were 2 controversial issues in the past year, the lights at Harbor Island and the firehouse controversy. Did you have any feelings one way or another regarding those 2 issues?
Well, I know they were really hot issues in our community. The one that I would like to address is the firehouse issue, because that relates directly to our taxes. When the issue of the unsafe floor came up, I think everybody was concerned because our fire volunteers are very important in our community. However, if you would have just gone along with quickly solving the problem, it would have cost us over $225,000. By investigating, by calling in other experts, we're able to solve the problem with an expense to the taxpayers of less than $50,000. And I think that's critical in this day and age. So I think this experience has taught me something. It's really important to investigate all aspects of a situation before making a decision.
Thank you. Anne-Marie Tyrone, Democratic candidate for village trustee in the village of Mamaroneck. With us, Walter Rogers, who's running as an incumbent Republican candidate for village trustee in Mamaroneck. Walter, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. As you just said, I am a village trustee now. I'm running for re-election. I have lived in the village for over 36 years. My children are here. My 11 grandchildren live here. And I've been active in the community, I would say, since the early 70s.
As
I might also add, I'm recently retired after 30 years at the New York Times.
So that should give you more time to be active in the village, I guess.
More time to be active in the village, and I also bring to the village board 30 years of expertise in managerial skills and decision making.
Mm-hmm. Why do you want to continue as a trustee on the village board?
Well, I've had a commitment to serve the village for a good number of years. I started in the 70s as a Rhinebeck School Board member. I served 8 years with the Rhinebeck School Board. From there, I went on to various committees in the community. My children live here. As I said before, my grandchildren live here. And we just love this community.
You lived through and experienced two rather controversial issues the past year, the lights at Harbor Island and the firehouse controversy. What do you see as the key issues, if you will, for this campaign the coming year in the village?
There were really three issues, and you left out the dumping leaves at Harbor Island. That was another major issue that we faced here in the village. As far as issues that we might be facing in the following year, I think this year we certainly have to, and it's taxes. We have to take a hard look at the budget this year. We have to do something about our spending. We have to take a hard look at personnel, shared services with other communities, more efficient and productivity from the people we employ. All these areas have to be looked at in the following year.
The two issues that were, well, that are relatively, they're completed now, but the two issues in the past, the lights at Harbor Island and the firehouse controversy, do you feel they were resolved equitably?
I was a strong supporter of both issues. The lights at Harbor Island, at Lanza Field, and also the firehouse issue. The lights at Lanza Field, I felt from the very beginning that it could do nothing but enhance our recreational facilities down at the harbor. We have an area down there with the sewage treatment plant, with the work being done, that hopefully will be finished in 1993. We have the beach pavilion that the roof is ready to cave in down there, and nothing has happened to it. So we have to do something in this community to enhance recreation for our young people, and I strongly am committed to that. On the firehouse issue, I was strongly committed to the firehouse issue of repairing not only the firehouses, but keeping 5 fire stations open. We've had this for over 100 years. We do it with an all-volunteer fire department, and there were never any reasons to evaluate the fire department, at least not to my knowledge.
Okay. All right, thank you. Running for mayor of Mamaroneck as an independent is Norman Rosenblum. Norman, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I am a third-generation resident of the village of Mamaroneck. I have graduated from Rhinebeck High School in 1960 in the University of Vermont. I am now involved in a job as International Administrator of Marketing for Safe Flight Instrument Corporation, a major avionics manufacturing company.
Why do you want to be mayor in Mamaroneck?
Well, it's basically because of a sense of community. I think what we have witnessed over the past year is a divisiveness and a lack of civility in the public board meetings that has translated into not a friendly village. And I think it's a matter of leadership. And in my leadership, I believe, can bring back, based on my experience, not only in my job as an administrator, but previous experience on a village board, as someone who can lead and help heal, and also have a productive board.
Which leads me to ask, too, what do you see as the key issues in this campaign?
I think one of the key issues in this campaign basically is just what I spoke about, the style of leadership. I think as far as substance is concerned, the Village of Mamaroneck is concerned, as is any other community, especially New York State and in this specific area. Your tax base is eroding, your assessment roll is going down, and you have to work together. There's no such thing as politics. I read someplace, and I firmly believe it, there is no such thing as public funds. Only private funds that have been taken by taxation from the government. You should learn to spend those funds like they're your own.
Now, you used to be a Republican on the village board. Are you not concerned that running as an independent, you may perhaps not only take votes away from the Republican Party, but splitting the votes up 3 ways will be costly to you?
Absolutely not. I firmly believe in the democratic process, not only as a student, a political science major at the University of Vermont, but I believe in the democratic system. My campaign is getting support from across the board, and the idea that I will be splitting Republican votes and letting a Democrat get in is only a statement from politicians that are afraid and that they know they are behind. I firmly believe that on March 19th, I will receive the most amount of votes, and the winner will be the Village of Mamaroneck, all the residents.
All right. Thank you for being with us on LMC News.
Thank you. Could I bring in one shot? I'd like to give one plug, and this is basically one of the reasons I'm running for mayor. I would like to take this opportunity, besides making self-serving statements as any person running for public office, that I would ask everyone in the Village of Mamaroneck to support the Mamaroneck Police Fire Benefit basketball game on March 22nd at 7 p.m. at Rhinebeck High School, and it's basically for Kevin O'Rourke, who is suffering, as a local community boy who's suffering from a disease. And I think it's a definite worthwhile cause, in which, again, I'm talking about the sense of community. That's why I'm running. Help the community enjoy itself.
Thank you. Norman Rosenblum, independent candidate for mayor in the Village of Mamaroneck. And we now have another mayoral candidate in the Village of Mamaroneck, who's currently a trustee on the village board, Beth Hofstetter, Democratic candidate. Beth, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a 5-term trustee. I was elected my 5th term last year, and I've served on the board since 1982. And I've been liaison to the Coastal Zone Management, to the Recreation Commission, to the Planning Board, to Beautification, to Cable TV, and now presently to Coastal Zone and to the Recycling Solid Waste Committee.
Why do you want to be mayor after all these years as a trustee?
2 reasons, basically, for me this time. And the first one is the complete lack of leadership that I see that has been evinced by Paul Noto in his terms, and also especially in this past term when the community has really been run through the ringer with, I think, his lack of leadership. And the second reason is I think we're into very difficult financial times, and I think we need somebody on the board who not only talks about fiscal restraint, but has actually done something about it, and that's myself.
Which leads me to what you see as the main issues and or problems you see in the coming years that the village is going to face. What do you feel they are going to be?
The issues in the campaign or the issues that are going to be facing the village?
Well, the combination.
Yeah. Well, I think immediately will be the budgetary crunch. There's no doubt about it. Because I've been to some meetings, and I think the state budget, while it has not been firmed up completely, in our village budget, we will probably not put any money in at all that we call state aid, just to be on the safe side. And that will be a decrease of at least $500,000 in our own budget, while we are also losing about $1 million in assessed value. So it has to be made up somewhere in the property tax. And before I would raise the property tax more than the number that we've tried to keep it at, which is certainly under 2 digits, I would like to go over all kinds of spending and personnel and any other services that we do, and see where we can be more economical, either by sharing services with perhaps another community or putting them together, under another hierarchy so that it would work better. We would have better services for the community and keeping the costs down as far as we can.
The 2 issues that really that were very controversial the past year here in the village concern the lights at Harbor Island and the firehouse controversy. Do you feel that both matters were settled reasonably and equitably?
Well, the firehouse issue hasn't been totally settled yet. My position has been from the very beginning, and I was shocked to see that both Paul Noto and Walter Rogers, when we first were faced with a tentative estimate of $200,000, fell over themselves trying to be the first to say, let's go ahead and do it. And I think my approach was not only more reasonable initially, which was to say, let's get other options. We should always get other options. But also, it has borne out to be the actual truth. We've had at least 4 or 5 other estimates from village
other engineers, not village engineers, who said that the actual cost, if we had to do anything, would be between $40,000 and $50,000. And we are just about down to the point where there was a meeting of the committee that had been set up, including the village engineer, two community engineers who are not bidding for the job, and a representative from the fire department, and the interim and the manager and the acting manager, and they've agreed on one particular engineer proposal, and now they've asked him to actually draw up some specs. We will actually see if we have to do almost anything at all. I mean, they're going to do a load testing, and that will show us if anything at all has to be done. So I think I've absolutely been borne out, as have my fellow trustees, Kate Weingarten and June Ottinger, in the way we want to proceed with how we handle, you know, either emergency problems or anything that comes in outside the budget. Look very carefully, always get other options. And we do that by having a village manager, which, as you know, we've just appointed, and I'm happy to say that that's been a unanimous appointment.
Great. We now have the current incumbent mayor of the village of Mamaroneck, Paul Noto. Paul, could you give us a little thumbnail sketch for perhaps new voters in the area? Who are you?
Well, I've been mayor for 5 years now. I'm finishing my 3rd term. I'm married, live at Lawn Terrace with my wife Jennifer, our daughter Melissa. I'm a practicing attorney. Prior to being in public life, I was a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals here for 3 years, and I was elected trustee and then mayor in 1985.
Why do you want to continue as mayor in the village?
Well, I think there's a number of problems that the community faces, and I'm very concerned about the divisiveness that the new Democratic majority has brought upon. I think we need two-party balance, and I think it's very important. There are minority viewpoints that need to be heard in our community, and I think that there's a number of projects. We have to implement the Long Island Sound study, we have to fix the beach pavilion, we have to clean up the parks, we have to keep taxes down. And these are my priorities, and I think over the next 2 years I'd like to work on those.
As far as issues or items that we'll be facing in the village in the coming years, do you see those as the key points?
Well, I think the number one issue is going to be keeping taxes down. We are facing very critical times in terms of our finances. Unfortunately, we're at the mercy of a state government that does not have its fiscal house in order. Federal government has problems, and they're just dropping them down to our level. I think we have to be creative and look at ways to keep spending down and to cut taxes. That'll be the number one issue, but certainly cleaning up the sound is, in my view, an extremely important issue, one that this board really hasn't moved on, and we're going to have recommendations from the Long Island Sound study, of which I'm a member, and I would like to see that strong municipal leadership help carry out some of those recommendations. As far as the parks, the buildings, maintenance, those are issues that we've had and will continue to have, and I think to be prudent, we have to plan ahead.
Two issues that got the village pretty riled up this past year, the lights at Harbor Island and the firehouse controversy. Do you feel both issues were settled equitably?
Well, in the long run, I think that they have been resolved. I'm concerned that at enormous cost to the goodwill and the fellowship within the community. I mean, both could have been avoided in terms of becoming controversies. Neither should have been a controversy. And I think the extremely poor leadership from the Democratic majority resulted in terrible distrust, cynicism, as you know, great public outcry over both issues about not only the substance but the style, the handling of the issue, which I think contributed to all the problems.
The Democrats contend, though, that if it were rushed through, it would have been more costly to the village. For instance, the firehouse issue.
Well, that's not true. In fact, what was really happened in November was the fire department and the community was simply asking for a commitment that the firehouse would be fixed. There was no timetable and no budget commitment requested. And I think the problem was that they refused to make the commitment. They changed the dynamic in the midst of the discussion by trying to bring in a consultant to look at consolidation, and they changed the rules in the middle of the game, and I think that's what got the public so upset. Money, I think, was a secondary issue. The first issue was, do we want the 5 houses? And the majority refused to say, yes, we did. If they had done that, as we requested them to do that, we never would have had a problem. We could have looked at 50 alternatives if we had to. But in February, we're looking at alternative engineers, which we should have been doing in November. And like, as I said, I think money was secondary to the original issue was, do we want the house fixed? And if so, how?
Okay. Thank you. Paul Noto, incumbent mayor in the village of Mamaroneck, running again as a Republican for mayor in the village. And that's our profile of the candidates in the village of Mamaroneck. The position of mayor, it runs for 2 years, pays $7,500 a year as a stipend. The trustees each make $5,000 a year as a stipend. Remember to vote March 19th. We'll see you there. I'm Roger Norm, and thanks for watching Larchmont-Mamaroneck Community News. Hello and welcome to Larchmont-Mamaroneck Community News. I'm Roger Norm.
And I'm Bill Littauer. Among the stories on this edition, Mamaroneck town workers get a new contract.
The people who run this cable TV service are doing some reshuffling.
Hostages taken during a holdup attempt in Mamaroneck.
Did you know you can complain to the tax assessor? We'll tell you how.
And the missing bolt replaced on the Methodist Church bell. We'll have those reports and more coming up. Now, our top story. The Civil Service Union of the town of Mamaroneck accepted a 3-year contract, 5% in each of the next 2 years and a 5.5% increase the 3rd year. The average Civil Service Union worker with the town makes between $24,000 and $26,000 a year. Now to find out a bit more on other town matters, LMC News spoke with Town Councilwoman Elaine Price.
Elaine, I understand you could update us a bit on the habitat situation.
Yes, we discussed it at great length at our meeting, and we are deeding the property over to Habitat with rather substantial deed restrictions so that it will always remain affordable. That is a house that is going to be built by Habitat.
Has the controversy subsided a bit with some of the neighbors in the area?
Absolutely. We had a meeting with the neighbors a few months ago, and they all seem to be on board and wanted to become part of the process. And to that extent, they have been. Habitat has kept them informed as to how they are progressing with the applicant interviews and the plans for the home, and they had some input on that, and it's a very attractive home indeed.
The Larchmont Motel, what's the latest on that?
Oh, the builders are working very hard, walking through fire codes and HFA requirements and HUD process applications, and it's a very complicated process, much more so than we ever thought when we began all of this.
What sort of target date are you looking at with respect to the motel?
Oh, it's hard to say. It really is. We would love to be able to begin this by summer, but knowing that anything that can go wrong usually does, I don't feel quite comfortable in targeting that to the community and getting hopes, and our hopes up as well.
5 employees of a Mamaroneck toy store were briefly held hostage last month by an armed holdup man. The alleged armed robber, 21-year-old Luis Rodriguez of the Bronx and his 20-year-old accomplice Charles Portman of New Rochelle, tried to hold up the toy and sports warehouse on the Boston Post Road. But company Vice President Steve Schwartz escaped and called police. Portman fled and was captured in Larchmont. Rodriguez surrendered to police.
Mamaroneck Village Police are trying to find out who stole the tuition money from the former St. Vito's Church School on Underhill Avenue. Almost $400 was taken from the desk in the KEEPS program. The private after-school program services about 50 children in the Mamaroneck area. Bill?
Reassessment is becoming an issue in the village of Larchmont. For more on that and some other stories, LMC News reporter Deborah Dorn.
A record number of residents showed up at the Larchmont Village Board meeting on Monday, February 25th. What was the attraction? The tax assessor. Annually, he appears on the last Monday of February to meet with those concerned with reassessing their property. After a private conference with the assessor, a resident is invited to appear before the board. 4 residents did so, the largest number of people to turn out for the tax reassessment that the clerk can remember. Also at the meeting, a law was unanimously passed prohibiting the deposit of household and business garbage in public receptacles. In addition, Larchmont merchants are prohibited from sidewalk displays with the exception of florists. The Hammock swimming pool closed on Friday, February 29th for 4 months of maintenance. Tiles will be replaced and structural beams and supports remedied. For you avid swimmers, the Mamaroneck Town Recreation Department arranged for permit holders to use the Rye YMCA, the White Plains Athletic Club, and the YM and YWHA of Midwestchester and Scarsdale. The Mamaroneck United Methodist Church will once again fill the village with the sounds of its ringing bell. The 2,000-pound bell came crashing down last September, just missing a couple standing at the church door. The cause of the crash was a defective bolt, the bolt that has been holding the bell in place since 1858. Reverend William Shilledy said he is waiting for a special occasion for the initial ring, like Palm Sunday or peace, whichever comes first.
Time now for that portion of our program about school news. And here's our school news reporter, Monique Citron.
Two Mamaroneck High School students, Wendy Seltzer and Roger Norm Jr., yes, there is a relation, have been accepted into Westchester Community College's Chemical Instrumentation course for high school students. And over at Rhinebeck, Lila Fox will represent Rhinebeck Middle School March 19th at the Westchester Putnam Spelling Bee at Pace. The bee is sponsored by Gannett Westchester Rockland newspapers for 8th graders.
Actionville is moving to the Homics. Actionville is the Mamaroneck School District's alternative program for 5th and 6th graders that puts a heavy accent on field trips and hands-on type teaching. But it's stirred controversy in recent years at Central School, where it's been housed. That controversy peaked this past week when Actionville students returned from the midwinter recess to find a petition taped to their classroom door. The petition from Central School teachers called for Actionville to be moved out of the Central Elementary School. At last week's school board meeting, about 60 or 70 parents and teachers, most of the parents present, wanted the district continued support for the Actionville program, despite some teachers who would rather see it somewhere else.
I have all kinds of background in teaching the gifted. That doesn't mean that I only want a class filled with gifted children. And that's what Actionville has become. That's not true. No, that's not true.
The school district superintendent, Norman Kolb, gave the parents the assurance that he was behind the Actionville program and backed it, despite it being moved to the Homick next year. The facilities, Kolb said, would be similar to what it has now. And also the program will continue to be open to any family in the district wanting to send their child there.
Tax refunds for Palmer Terrace cooperative owners were approved by the village board last week. The tax assessment for the property at 320 Palmer Terrace has been reduced from $1,028,700 to $717,433 for the tax years 1989-90 and 1990-91. Since 1987, co-op owners in the village have been fighting over the tax assessment, while the village fought in court over the 1987 and 1988 assessments and eventually lost. This time they decided to go for an out-of-court settlement. The Mamaroneck Town Board recently approved a similar settlement for the Palmer Terrace complex.
You're going to face some new traffic problems on the thruway. Lynn Goodman has that report and other news from the village of Mamaroneck. Lynn?
Mamaroneck will soon pop up on traffic reports as construction on the New England Thruway and the Mamaroneck interchange begins. The $31.5 million project that covers work on the interchange and on a 2-mile section of the Thruway got a lot of public attention last year. Now that plans have become finalized, work will begin in mid-March. In the first phase of the 2-year construction project, the northbound lanes will be closed and the southbound lanes will be converted into 4 lanes of 2-way traffic. 2 Mamaroneck residents received the Village of Mamaroneck Citizenship Award. Paul A. Ryan was honored in recognition of his many achievements, contributions, and countless hours of service to the community. He's a former member and chairman of the Village of Mamaroneck Coastal Zone Management Commission. And Susan Miller received her award as a member of the Harbor Commission of the Village of Mamaroneck for her exemplary service to the community. Congratulations from us to both recipients. And now let's take a look at the New Rochelle Humane Society's Pet of the Week, Millie.
Millie is the cutest cat you ever saw. She is so sweet and kind and gentle. She is a pleasure to have around. Call the New Rochelle Humane Society if you're interested in taking care of her.
Now that the Gulf War is over, we should start to see our fuel and gasoline prices go down. But will they go down as quickly as they went up? LMC News reporter Randy Norham checked out some of the area pumps.
I'm going to give you an idea as to the prices of gasoline at our local pumps. With the war in the Gulf, we've seen prices rise quite dramatically within the past 6 months. Let's look at a few stations in the area. First, in Larchmont. I went to the Northville station on the Boston Post Road across from the bowling alley. There, I found prices ranging from $1.43.9 for Super to $1.17.9 for regular. Next, I went to the Mobile across from Anderson's bookstore. There we have self-serve regular at $1.17.9 and full-serve premium with a credit card going for $1.73.9. Quite a difference. The last station I checked into in Larchmont was the Mobile across from the Larchmont Post Office on the Boston Post Road. There we have regular at $1.47.9 and premium at $1.64.9. Now in Mamaroneck, I visited the Northfield station just past the railroad tracks. Gas was $1.29.9 for regular and $1.47.9 for premium. The Exxon station across from Hess on Mamaroneck Avenue has regular at $1.59.9 and premium at just 10 cents more at $1.69.9. My last stop was Soundview Sunoco at the entrance to Orienta on the Boston Post Road. Regular is $1.38.9 and premium is priced at $1.61.9. As we can see, there's a great disparity in the prices of gasoline in the Larchmont-Mamaroneck community area. Over the last 6 months, we've seen the prices rise quite rapidly and dramatically. With the hope of peace in the Persian Gulf, let's see if these prices fall as rapidly and dramatically as they'd risen. For Larchmont-Mamaroneck Community News, I'm Randy Norum.
March is Eye Donor Month. For more on the subject, Rita Blockton of LMC News spoke with Mary Regner.
March has been designated Eye Bank, Eye Donor Month, and we are looking from the Eye Bank for donations from people of all ages. Eyes can be donated from 1 year to 85 years. They can be successfully transplanted, at least the cornea can be successfully transplanted from 1 year old. After 85 years of age, they can generally be used for research.
Now, is it important to let people know that you are a donor, and how do you get it?
It's very, very important to start by discussing it with your children. And I became involved as a student nurse. I worked in the ophthalmological department of a London hospital. And I spoke with my children, and we became involved when my son's eyes were donated successfully to 2 metropolitan teenagers. And we now know in our family that John's eyes are out there still working.
That is an unbelievable feeling.
It is.
So what do we do to get a card? How do we participate?
You can, there are several different ways. First of all, let your family know that this is what your desire is. And it can just be signed on the back of your driver's license. And you need several witnesses.
All right. Is there a number that you call? How do we get?
Yes. You can contact the Eye Bank for sight restoration at 210 East 64th Street, New York. Okay. And they will be happy to speak with you there.
Mamaroneck High School and Westchester Community College are holding a youth video workshop. For more on that, here's MHS TV coordinator Mike Witch.
I'm pleased to tell viewers of LMC News that there is a very interesting event coming up on March the 14th at Westchester Community College. And if you've got a son or daughter who is doing creative media arts work, or if you're a member of the public just interested in visual arts done by students, you'll be interested to hear about this. It's the 22nd annual showcase for youth film and media work. It's sponsored every year by the New York State Department of Education. This year it's hosted by the Westchester Community College Foundation, and I'm one of 6 area media arts teachers helping to put the program together. It's March 14th. It's open to the public, and it's absolutely free. Students can get involved by contacting their teachers or me at Mamaroneck High School, and I'll give you some information. I'll tell you what a typical day will be like. In the morning, they'll have a chance to have their film and video work screened, also their photographs exhibited. Then they'll hear from a guest speaker, Larchmont's Ben Modell, who will be showing clips from his first feature film and then answering questions. In the afternoon, after lunch, there'll be a series of workshops. Mamaroneck's Jeff Montanaro from LMC News is going to be doing a Amiga computer graphics workshop for television. UA Columbia Cable will have their 3-camera mobile van open for short demonstrations all day long for the students. Westchester Community College is going to have their television studio open for tours and demonstrations, and some students and a teacher from Byram Hills High School will be having a
demonstration of holography methods, and Ben Modell is staying through lunch to answer more questions and maybe even show the entire feature film. If you're interested, whether you're a student or a parent or just a community member who wants to know more about what students are doing in visual arts, you can contact me at Mamaroneck High School for more information. And I'll probably send you this brochure with the TV dog on the cover. It's this year's logo. And now back to the news show.
March 10th is an important date for the Southeast Consortium. For more on the subject.
Hi, I'm Dr. Loretta Long, but you probably know me as Susan of Sesame Street. You said, yeah, I knew that face. Well, I'm here to applaud the work of the Southeast Consortium and its success in reaching youngsters with special needs. To commemorate the 10th anniversary of the agency, I will be performing a children's concert Sunday, March 10th at 2 p.m. at Scarsdale High School. I want to invite you to join me for this special family sing-along. It's called Play is for Everyone. We're going to have a lot of fun. You better be there.
A big day coming up for the Mamaroneck Library. For more on that, here's LMC News reporter Deborah Dorn.
I know you're here to tell us a little bit. It's the 68th annual meeting of the Mamaroneck Free Library. Maybe you could just tell us where it'll be.
Yes, well, it'll be this Wednesday, March 6th at 7:30 p.m. at the Emlyn Theater, and everyone is invited. And it's really going to be a special time. I mean, we are going to have a business meeting. Mary LaJudas, Library Board President, and Joan Grott, our Library Director, will be giving very brief annual reports. But then after that, Mamaroneck Library has something to sing about, and what is going to occur is that there's going to be a musical history of the American theater called Bravo Broadway. Oh yes, should be fun. Produced by Memory Lane Productions. What I'd like to share with you this evening is the very first film, 16mm film, of course, made into a videotape of the first dedication of the library on Prospect Avenue and Library Lane in 1927. And what you do see is the crowd gathered around the stone monument outside there on the corner of Prospect and Library Lane, and then Charles Baxter opening the door to the library, welcoming everyone in, because that was the official opening of the library in 1927. And then you do see shots of the interior of the library with a large flag over the balcony. And of course, the library building was strictly that very first building on Prospect Avenue. That was the original building.
How did you get the video?
Oh, through the generosity of Shaw Mudge. He found it in his collection of family films.
And that's it for another edition of Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. We'd like to leave you with this reminder that this program is a voluntary effort on the part of everyone associated with it. And it's a fun way to give back something to the community. It might be something you'd like to give a try to. Why not stop by on Thursday night in the Palmer Avenue unit of Mamaroneck High School? It's up the stairs across from Walter's Hot Dogs.
We start putting the program together around 7 Thursday night. Stop by and say hello, take a look, and we'd love to see you. Also, this reminder, if you missed any part of this news show, you can catch it again at 7:30 and 12:30 any weekday night. Thanks again for watching Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. I'm Roger Norham.
And I'm Bill Littauer. We'll see you again next week at the same time.
welcome to Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. I'm Roger Norham.
And I'm Bill LaTower. On this week's edition, fees for use of Flint Park are being doubled and in some cases quadrupled.
You'll pay more to park in Larchmont, and police will be able to track you down by computer.
We'll meet the new principal of Mamaroneck High School.
And warming up for the big game. But first, our top story. If you use Flint Park, you may be paying much higher use fees. The cost for a group permit for 100 to 200 people will quadruple from $25 to $100. Other permits were increased somewhat less proportionately. The Larchmont Village Recreation Committee had wanted to ban the consumption of alcohol on park grounds, but the trustees thought that might disrupt large gatherings that traditionally serve beer. They decided to simply warn them against excessive noise and drinking at Flint Park. Bill?
Election Day is coming up Tuesday the 19th. We will be voting for mayor and trustees in the village of Mamaroneck and for 2 trustees and a judge in Larchmont. Polls are open from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Don't forget to vote if you live in either village. And last week, candidates for trustee in Larchmont took part in a debate televised on LMC-TV. The debate was sponsored by the League of Women Voters. And a reminder, this channel, 36 LMC-TV, will have live coverage election night beginning at 9 o'clock. Roger?
The Democratic Party held its kickoff square dance at the American Legion Hall in Flint Park Sunday, March 3rd. People of all ages participated. Hot dogs and chili were served for supper. The Village of Mamaroneck residents have begun putting their newspapers out at curbside early Wednesday mornings. They are either bagged, held down with a rock, or placed in the new green recycling bins paid for by the Gannett Westchester newspapers. Bill?
UA Columbia Cablevision of Westchester is planning to change its basic cable service. You'll pay $3 less per month, but you'll get 17 fewer channels. The basic charge would be $14.95 a month, but to get CNN and other popular services, you would have to buy a so-called Plus service, and you would have to have the Plus service to buy the current premium or paid channels. UACC says the idea is to make it easier for customers in a recession, but the Larchmont Mamaroneck Cable TV Board of Control is questioning whether consumers will really benefit, and it's asking for clarification.
The Village of Mamaroneck Police and Fire Department benefit basketball game is coming up. LMC reporter Greg Fetterbush spoke with Jim Gaffney of the Mamaroneck Police Department.
The Mamaroneck Village Police Fire Benefit Basketball Game is coming up on March 22nd. What's it about this year?
This year we're playing for a young man. His name is Kevin O'Rourke. He's 13 years old. And we also are playing in honor of the Persian Gulf troops. We would like to split the proceeds, if possible. And it has to do with Kevin mainly, the fact that he has a kidney ailment, and it's yet to be identified.
He needs more tests?
Exactly. It's been an ongoing process for approximately 14 months, and it's reached the stage that he needs a biopsy. So his family's been going through great medical expense.
And they live in Rhinebeck?
Yes, they live in the village, and they're in the Rhinebeck section of the village. And what we're also doing is we're selling raffle tickets, and they're available at Chip's One Stop, which is over by the Volunteers Firehouse, and Ricketts Locksmith. If nobody has come and knocked on your door, that's where you can find them.
And if people want to send money, and is there a fund for it?
Yes, just have to address it to the Village of Mamaroneck Police Fire Benefit Fund, Box 427, Mamaroneck, New York.
Okay, so come on out to the Police Fire Benefit Basketball Game on March 22nd at Rhinebeck High School. See you there.
And now here's Monique Citron with an interview with Jim Coffey, the incoming principal of Mamaroneck High School.
We're here to welcome Jim Coffey, the new principal of Mamaroneck High School. We're very pleased you're with us, and we know we're stealing you away from a wonderful school district, Chappaqua. So what was the appeal for Mamaroneck? What drew you to us?
I think initially, Monique, the appeal was, first of all, the reputation of the school district. It's been my understanding, having been in Chappaqua for 7 years, that Mamaroneck has enjoyed a long tradition of support for its schools and a very rich academic tradition. Probably the biggest appeal was the diversity in the student body and the diversity in the community, far more so than I've experienced the last 7 years in Chappaqua. Wonderful stories, and those stories were all corroborated every visit I made in the entire interview process. It's been a wonderful experience, and if the beginning of the position is nearly as good as the interview process, I'm really excited for July.
Well, we're really glad you're here. We're just wondering, is there a particular Jim Coffey philosophy? Are there any programs you want to implement or things you'd like to see?
I probably will be a little bit evasive on the programs question because being currently the assistant principal at Greeley, or one of the assistant principals I should say, I'm rather preoccupied with having a good strong finish there, which hasn't given me a great deal of time to get to know some of the intimacies at Mamaroneck High School. I've read a good deal of the literature that's come out. I expect to be down here next Tuesday for the day, meeting with the PTA and department chairs, so that I would hope that in a few months I'll have a better handle on that question.
It almost looks like a new building. It's the building on the Post Road in Larchmont that houses a dance studio, PK's Pub, Futterman's, and several other shops. The scaffolding has finally been removed, and all the window and aluminum frames are in place. Assistant Building Inspector Frank DeVore says the old building was badly in need of having its rotted wooden parts replaced. Debbie Dorn talked about plans for renovating the inside of the building with Amalia Hoffman.
I'm here with Amalia Hoffman, a well-known display artist who has been asked to help design the corridor between the Boston Post Road at PK's and the parking lot behind.
Yes, we have 8 showcases in the corridor, which are just being completed and beautifully lit. We hope to rent them out to local businesses who are interested in promoting their business through visual means and display. I will be in charge of helping these businesses design each display personally. And we hope that the traffic between the Boston Post Road and the back parking lot will create great interest in those businesses who will be promoting through those showcases.
Who would a store owner contact if they were interested in hiring you to do the display?
Well, if anybody is interested, they can hire, they can call my studio number, which is area code 914-381-2277. And if I'm not there and my assistant is not there, they can just leave a message and I will be certain to get back to them.
Well, good luck, and thank you very much for coming by.
Thank you.
The village of Larchmont will soon be using handheld computers to issue parking tickets. The village board of trustees agreed to pay almost $70,000 to lease the equipment for 3 years. Police officers will be able to enter registration and license plate data into the handheld computers. The computer base will then tell them if the car has a history of parking violations. The village hopes to increase revenues by tightening up collection of parking violation fees, so beware of scofflaws.
And parking rates are on the rise in Larchmont. Until the end of last week, you could park for 3 hours for a quarter. Now you only get 2 hours for a quarter. And the rate for 12-hour parking has gone up to $1.50. The increase was caused by the new state sales tax on parking meter proceeds.
A new store is opened in the Village Square Shopping Center on the Post Road in the town of Mamaroneck. It's called Fresh and Fit, designed for those who count their calories. I could probably use a little bit of that. LMC reporter Barbara Brown talked with the store manager.
I'm here with Rachel Tanowitz, who will explain the philosophy of a healthy weight loss program. Rachel, what makes you different?
We're very different from all other programs. We offer freshly prepared spa-type meals. Clients will come into our facility twice a week and pick up all the meals they need for the entire week. We have a wonderful exercise program to complement the healthy meals, because our philosophy is that it's not just weight loss, it's a way of life. It's a healthy lifestyle change.
So if I come in, you will give me 7 meals for the week and work out a program of exercise to go with it, and then for me to lose weight that will suit my personal...
Yes, but it's not only just 7 meals. It would be 21 meals. We offer breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Breakfast and lunch, clients can take with them to the office. They're eaten cold, and the dinners can just be heated in 3 minutes in a microwave. It's very convenient. It's a wonderful program for people with busy, active lifestyles.
I believe you have a support program as well.
Mm-hmm. All the clients meet with their program coordinator, who gives them advice and helps them through their rough spots, also gives them ideas for maintaining their weight loss. I'm a registered dietitian on staff, and if anybody has any nutritional questions, we're happy to accommodate them and answer them fully.
Rachel, this sounds very exciting.
Oh, it's terrific. We're really excited. We've had a wonderful turnout, and we'd like everybody to come by, meet us, take a complimentary exercise class, and enjoy a complimentary meal on us.
And while we're on the subject of food, let's cover a store that has become almost a tradition in the village of Mamaroneck. It's Mercurio's, and LMC reporter Paul Victory has that report.
I'm Paul Victory. We're here at Mercurio's Delicatessen in Mamaroneck. We're here to talk to John. John, can you tell us why Mercurio's has been so successful and how long it has been here in Mamaroneck?
Well, Mercurio's been here in Mamaroneck for the past, I would say, easily 35, 40 years. And the reason why it's been so successful is that we give our clientele, our customers, the best quality and the best service we could possibly give them.
And can you tell us what your favorite dish is?
Well, we do make fresh mozzarella. It's our best mover here. Fresh sausage, Italian sausage. And as far as the best dish, we make our caviar, cream cheese.
And we understand that you also support a local softball team here in Mamaroneck.
Yeah, we do. The team is called the Hitmen.
And how are they performing?
Last year they did well. I think that they came second place.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they took second place.
Second place, baby.
Second place, right.
That's the captain over there.
And this year they better do better to carry the name.
Does the team get free sandwiches?
They sure do.
You're right.
Yeah.
Soccer season is coming up. Monique Citron interviewed Matty Ferenz about the Larchmont signups.
Registration is March 9th and 16th at St. Augustine's on Larchmont Avenue, right next to the Larchmont Public Library. It will be open from 9:30 to 12, and all children between the ages of 7, or basically 2nd grade through 8th grade, are eligible. And those that have played before, as well as the ones that are playing travel teams now, all have to register. And we have a wonderful 2nd grade program, and we invite all new players that are in 2nd grade to come and sign up. Both girls and boys are eligible, and we have wonderful girls teams in Larchmont. And
I think you've just about covered it. So if you want to play soccer, if your kids want to play soccer, this Saturday is the time to sign up at St. Augustine's. It's $50, isn't it?
It's $50 for 3rd grade and up, and it's $30 for 2nd graders.
And registration for the Mamaroneck Junior Soccer League will be held this Saturday, the 16th, from 10 until 1 in the afternoon. The registration will be held at the American Legion Hall on Prospect Avenue in the village of Mamaroneck, across from Village Hall. All children entering the 2nd through 8th grades in September are eligible. The fee is $35.
Maury Avenue School's own Julie Baldera became a grandmother on January 17th. Congratulations, Julie.
Okay, now it's time for that portion of our program where we find out whether we should still keep our snow shovels handy, as we had to a couple weeks back, or maybe pack away the winter sweaters. With us is the weatherman of LMC News, John Travachino.
Thank you, Roger. I have returned. Winter will return too, and with vengeance. So let's go to the forecast for the next 5 days. Monday, not too bad. Clouds, sunshine, highs in the 30s. Tuesday, let's put it this way. Golden sunshine, temperatures in the low 40s. Wednesday, those clouds will come in. There is a chance of snow or rain, highs in the upper 30s. Thursday, sunny, seasonably cold, highs near 40. Friday, sunny, cold for, March. Highs in, the upper 40s, low 50s. And the weekend, beach-like, you better believe it. Sunny and warm. Temperatures will rise in the 70s. With the weather on LMC News, this is John Travachino. Have a nice week ahead, and we shall see you again next week.
And that's it for another edition of Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News.
This Saturday morning, we will be conducting a video news workshop at the Mamaroneck Library. The time is 10 to noon. If you want to learn more about how to produce a news story for television, come join us.
And if you'd like to work on this show, join us next Thursday night about 7 o'clock. We're in the cable TV studio in the Palmer Avenue building of Mamaroneck High School. Thanks for watching Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. I'm Roger Norm, and a reminder, this program can be seen every weekday night, 7:30 and 12:30.
And I'm Bill Littauer. We'll see you again next week at the same time. Hello and welcome to Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. I'm Bill Littauer.
And I'm Monique Citron. A countywide measles outbreak. Are you or your children at risk? LMC talks to a leading local physician.
The town of Mamaroneck worries about overspending its budget.
48 school jobs may be lost because of state budget cuts.
The latest on the firehouse and our new sports reporter, all coming up. But first, our top story.
A measles epidemic hits New York State college campuses. What should you know if your college-age student hasn't been recently immunized? I talked to Dr. Norma Dreyfus.
As many of us have heard, measles is on the increase in the United States, and even especially in New York State. And in Yonkers, New York City, we've seen many cases. It's very, very important that we protect ourselves and our children from measles. People born before 1957 have most likely had natural measles and have lifelong immunity. Those born after 1957 have most likely had at least one dose of measles vaccine. However, it is important to make sure that a second dose of measles vaccine is done, especially in those susceptible. Measles vaccine does not always take at the first dose, so that the second dose assures protection. Another possibility is that the measles vaccine wears off, and our older children, those in college, our older teens, may be at risk. And as many of us have heard, there have been epidemics on college campuses because either of vaccine wearing off or a non-take of a primary vaccine. It is extraordinarily important for our children to be protected. New York State has a law now that every child entering kindergarten has to have a second measles vaccine that was done after, 2 vaccines done after a year of age, and before college entrance to any school at New York State, there has to be proof of 2 measles vaccine done after a year of age, at least 1 month apart. This is extraordinarily important because although many of us have had measles and come through it with flying colors, measles can be a devastating illness with a not insignificant mortality with brain damage and respiratory difficulties.
Dr. Dreyfus says that so far there have been no cases reported in Larchmont or Mamaroneck.
The Mamaroneck school system may lose 48 jobs, including a dozen classroom teaching positions. The cuts were outlined in the $47.7 million budget presented recently to the Board of Education. They are the result of an expected cut in state aid to schools. Assistant Superintendent for Administrative Services Sarah Tate says the layoffs will be made according to seniority, but she says that some tenured teachers will lose their jobs. The board will approve a preliminary budget March 26th, and voters will get the final plan May 22nd.
As a footnote to that story, the Mamaroneck School Board urges people to write their legislators about the cuts. A list of legislators with addresses is available at the superintendent's office at the high school.
Mamaroneck town officials are worried about their budget. Like many of us, they've spent more money than they took in. With that report and other items, here's LMC-TV reporter Sven Ohm.
Finally, there is a move on the issue of the Mamaroneck Avenue firehouse floor. The village board decided to have an Eastchester engineer conduct tests. During the testing period, a truck of the same weight as a fire truck will be used to determine to what extent the floor needs repairs. The board hopes to hear the recommendations for what action has to be taken within 3 or 4 weeks. We'll keep you updated on any developments as they occur. If you are worried about the federal and state deficit, you should also be worried about the Mamaroneck town budget. The town ended 1990 with a $750,000 deficit. Overspending and increasing amount of uncollected school and county taxes are blamed for the budget gap. The big question now is, why did it take until after the last fiscal year to notice the overspending? For fiscal 1991, town officials have pledged to watch the budget and the expenditures very carefully, and so will most residents of Mamaroneck. The village of Mamaroneck has to wait until April 8th to welcome the new village manager on his first day of work. Matthew Galligan, who has been manager of North Branford in Connecticut for the last 2.5 years, had to give his employer 60 days notice instead of just a month. As soon as Matthew Galligan arrives in Mamaroneck, we will have him on our news show.
The Village of Mamaroneck has authorized a pair of bond issues, $216,000 to pay refunds for tax settlements with local commercial property owners, co-ops, and condos, and a $177,000 bond issue to buy equipment for the police, highway, and public works departments. LMC-TV reporter Rita Blockton discussed the plan with village trustee Kate Weingarten.
In the Village of Mamaroneck, we find ourselves in a not uncommon situation of having tax settlements whereby usually co-ops, condos, and industrial utilities, New York Telephone and Con Ed, go to court and have their property reassessed downward, obviously. The impact of this year is that we've had to refund almost $200,000 in taxes, which was unanticipated, additional expense. But the long-range impact is that the assessed valuation of the municipality as a whole is steadily decreasing and being eroded, and will be down another $1 million this year through the workings of these court settlements. This means that the individual burden on the homeowner, usually, or other taxpayers who don't have their property reassessed, increases. It makes it all the more important this year that we carefully work on the budget, and I'd like to talk just a little bit about how we're doing that. We have had for several months the Budget Committee working on comparing our fees for service with other municipalities so that the Board of Trustees can have some information about how our fees stack up against the fees that other people are charging for things like boat moorings and zoning variance applications and a whole range of services which we offer to people in the community and charge a fee which may not, in fact, cover the cost of providing the service. And that data is almost ready to be reviewed by the Board of Trustees. We're also, quite frankly, taking this as an opportunity to look very carefully at the kinds of expenses that we've asked in flusher times the taxpayer to pay for. And we're looking at the way the village is organized. All of this has taken an enormous amount of time on the part of Lenny Verastro, our clerk-treasurer, and Angela Grillo, but they're working on the tentative budget, and I think they will certainly have it ready in time by the 20th of March when it's due. But they're looking at all kinds of new ways to deliver service to try to keep the tax increase as low as possible this year.
Mamaroneck Avenue School is having a fair on March 23rd. LMC-TV reporter Barbara Brown talked with some of the kids about the fair.
Hi, kids. Tell me something about your school fair.
Well,
okay, you go first.
There are lots of games at it you can play. It's really fun.
You're just going to go to the fair and have fun?
Yes. Our mom's helping out in it and everything like that. It's a fundraiser from the PTA. Yeah.
Oh. And is that where the PTA makes most of its money for the school?
Yeah. There's lots of prizes. You see really good prizes. You get tokens when you play the games. And
that's nice.
You bring the tokens up to a table and you trade them in for something.
Okay, kids. Well, I hope you're going to have a wonderful fair, and I hope to see a lot of people there. I'll come.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
The Mamaroneck Pre-Kindergarten Center at Mamaroneck Avenue School has begun registration of children between 18 months and 4 years. There is also a home-based program for some 2-year-olds and their mothers. Interested parents should call the center at 698-7105.
Over in Rye-Neck, it's Book Fair at Effie Bellows School this week on Thursday and Friday. And to honor it, youngsters and their parents can enjoy a special treat. In classrooms around the school, both evenings at 7 o'clock, there will be a celebration of stories. Teachers and parents will read some old and new favorites. On March 26th and 27th, Effie Bellows' 4th graders are putting on a musical called Detectives, Spies, and Villains. It's sure to be filled with fun and scary moments, and you're invited. Performances begin at 7:30.
The Larchmont Library is having an unusual show. It's all designs of inventions by 6th graders at the Chatsworth School. You should go see it, but you can take an early peek with us right now. On this wall are their creative inventions, and getting their inventive minds going, they had fun making shoes from newspaper only. On this wall are some of their wonderful designs.
Now, for news of the area men's and women's softball leagues, the Junior Soccer League, and other sports, we welcome our newest LMC-TV reporter, Valerie Welch.
The spring sports season is about to begin. The Mamaroneck High School teams will include lacrosse and tennis for boys and girls soccer, and boys baseball. Mamaroneck's all-around boy and girl athletes will be named at the end of the spring season. Rhinebeck High School's spring teams are track and golf for boys and girls, boys baseball and tennis, and girls soccer and softball. Last semester, senior Aaron Zellman of Rhinebeck High School competed on the New York State team for pole vaulting. He placed second in his section and 7th overall in the state. Zellman will be attending Harvard University in the fall. Dana Rodonia, a junior at Rhinebeck, finished all-section female this season for both field hockey and basketball. Rodonia will play her 4th year as a starter on the girls' varsity soccer team this season. According to Alan Hirschman, athletic director at Rhinebeck, Rodonia has the potential to finish all-section female in soccer as well. Hirschman says the girls' soccer team has won at 33 consecutive games in the past 2 years. Michelle Mullen of Rhinebeck High School finished all-section female in volleyball this season. Mullen has signed a letter of consent to attend the University of Connecticut on a volleyball scholarship this fall. The Village of Mamaroneck Softball League is now forming for the spring season. According to Al Croce, Director of Parks and Recreation for Mamaroneck, 28 men's teams and 6 women's teams are expected for this season. The season is scheduled to start at the end of April. The Mamaroneck Junior Soccer League will start its season this month. The league's travel teams will play at Harbor Island on Sunday, March 24th. Registration for the Fall Recreation League is taking place now. The Recreation League is open to all children from 2nd to 8th grades. The fall season starts in September.
And tonight with the weather, a fresh breeze has blown in. Lynn Goodman.
Thanks, Monique. John Travachino, our usual weatherman, is out recovering from a pulled-out wisdom tooth. And next week, another tooth comes out. We hope you heal quickly, John. John is so dedicated to our viewers that he managed to phone in this weather report from his sickbed. So with that out of the way, let's get on with this week's weather. Monday, there's a chance of rain, temperatures in the 40s. Tuesday, showers but milder, around 55. Wednesday, the rain will clear and we can expect mostly sunny skies, around 57 degrees. Thursday, increasing clouds and colder, around 43. Friday, don't put those shovels away. There's a chance of snow Friday and temperature around 35. And for the weekend, fair and mild, around 48 degrees.
The war in the Persian Gulf struck close to home. Barbara Brown spoke with the Mamaroneck father of one of our soldiers still serving in the Gulf.
I spoke with Ralph Parente, the owner of Soundview Service Center on the Boston Post Road. His son Peter is a reservist in the Marines. How did it feel to have your son in the Gulf?
Proud, very proud. He was very proud to go, too. In fact, he really could have gotten out of the Marines. He already served his 4 years, and he could have got out right then, even when the war started, but he said he had his friends. He didn't want to have his friends go over there without him.
So how long has he been out there?
He's been there since December, I would say about the 3rd, 4th, something like that.
And do you hear from him regularly?
Well, we didn't at first. We just heard January 1st we heard from him. Then we didn't hear from him until February the 3rd.
Did he see any active combat?
Yeah,
He did?
We didn't realize he was going to see combat because he was on a ship. And he said to us that if they had a amphibious landing, that he would be going in. And so we figured they didn't have amphibious landing, and so he wouldn't get in. So, but we heard from him after after they started the ground forces that he was in on it. They took him off the ship the night before, him and naturally the rest of the gentlemen that are on the ship there, and he went in with the ground forces into Kuwait.
And when are you expecting him home?
Only God knows. The last time I heard from him, he wasn't sure himself. Right now, they got him and 16 other reservist Marines with the regular Marines. And what's happening is the reservist Marines are all, according to Peter, they're all coming home by plane or what have you, or by ship. And he's probably mixed up with the regular Marines, so he really doesn't know. Maybe he's just lost in the shuffle, I really don't know. So, but he doesn't have any idea. All he hears is rumors. One day he's going to leave by ship, one day he's going by plane, and he doesn't know when or what.
Once again, it's spring cleaning time in Larchmont. Time to get rid of all those unwanted items that are just gobbling up your space. From March 18th to April 12th, you may leave bulk items and rubbish curbside. Don't mix them up. Any day except Wednesday. Wednesday is for metal, and you must call 834-6965 on Tuesday before 1 p.m. if you live in the village, and call 381-5045 in the unincorporated area. All leaves must be bagged, rubbish must be tied in bundles or put in containers, construction debris, building materials, ceramic items, and tree stumps are not accepted.
We may be suffering through the last gasp of winter now, but spring tennis season is just about here. You can pick up permits for the 1991 season beginning April 1st at the clerk's office in the Larchmont Village Hall on Larchmont Avenue. Rates are $70 for residents and $175 for non-residents. There are discounts for juniors and ID card holders, and there's also a $140 family package permit. And that's our report for this week. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to join us in producing this volunteer community newscast, why not join us any Thursday evening about 7 o'clock. You'll find us in the Mamaroneck High School TV studio. It's on the Palmer Avenue building across from Walter's Hot Dog Stand. I'm Bill Littauer.
And I'm Monique Citron. See you again next week, same time.
Hello and welcome to Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. I'm Roger Norham.
And I'm Bill Littauer, and these are some of the top stories in this edition. The GOP does an elephant walk in both village elections.
A halfway house for the homeless may find a home in Mamaroneck.
Rising taxes going up again in the county, and the school bell tolls for more budget cuts.
And a new call-in service for seniors. Those stories and more on Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. First, elections last week, and the Republican sweep in both the village of Larchmont and the village of Mamaroneck. First, details on the Larchmont results from LMC News reporter Deborah Dorn.
For those of you who weren't tuned in to Channel 36 on election night, which I can't imagine, you may have missed some of the candidates' acceptance speeches. We visited both headquarters where the consensus was that it would be a close race. It was indeed. The Republicans, however, swept the polls, with incumbent Joseph Clifford receiving 864 votes to Joan Cooney's 651 votes for village justice. In the trustee department, Marion White won with 785 votes, and Ken Biala with 746. Democrat Judy O'Gorman received 743, and Sandy Feldman 735. Let's take a look at some of the acceptance speeches.
In this particular year, a campaign fosters a strong sense of community and gives those involved a feeling of satisfaction in working for a worthy purpose. And we all had our funny moments too. Ken and I put everything we had into the campaign, and we feel it served the important purpose of raising issues of concern to all residents of the village of Larchmont. Now Ken and I have the authorization permission from the voters to go ahead with the ideas we discussed.
Voters benefited from the discussion of the issues brought out during the campaign, particularly property taxes, and that the board will address the issues promptly and with vigor. Marion and I will do our best to serve the village, and we look forward to pursuing the ideas developed during the campaign. Thank you.
In Mamaroneck, the hotly contested mayor's race saw Mayor Paul Noto overwhelmingly win re-election by a wide margin, more than 1,200 votes. And his other Republican incumbent, Walter Rogers, also swept himself back into the trustee share in the village for at least another 2 years. Independent mayoral candidate Norman Rosenblum came in a poor third with less than 400 votes. Larchmont Mamaroneck community news reporter Nancy St. Leifer covered the activities election night at Village Hall, and with the help of Rich Capagrosso, got the acceptance speeches of the winners.
I want to thank LMC-TV for covering our board meetings, which I think help people form their own judgments about how people are acting in their behalf. And these are the kinds of things that I hope all of us can remember. And I look forward to the next 2 years with great relish and determination so that we can bring this community back together and move forward. Thank you very much.
I think it was a vote of confidence for Paul and I. I think it was a message sent from this community to this board that we do want to use Harbor Island Park as a recreational facility, that we do want our all-volunteer fire department, that we do want all our fire stations open, and that we do want our volunteer fire department station repaired.
There's a proposed halfway house in the village of Mamaroneck, close to Village Hall. Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Sven Ohm has details on that and some other news.
There may soon be a halfway house for the homeless in Mamaroneck. At St. Thomas Episcopal Church, the congregation and the leadership are discussing converting a building at 110 Mount Pleasant Avenue, which has been used as the church rectory since 1965. There is something special about this house, which was built in 1867 by John N. Flandreau, and which therefore is known as the Flandreau Cottage. As this is one of the last great structures in Mamaroneck, residents are already asking why this historic building has to be chosen to be converted into a halfway house. The halfway house project is supported by Samaritan House of White Plains. The non-profit organization that now provides shelter and counseling for homeless families at Grace Episcopal Church in White Plains wants to start a facility in the Long Island Shore area. There will be concern in Mamaroneck and especially in the vicinity of Flandreau Cottage over this project, and we will keep you updated on events as they develop. You may not have noticed it, but there are less people now living in our area than 10 years ago. A year ago, the United States Census Bureau sent every household the forms for the 1990 census. The first numbers have now been released. Here are the numbers for the municipalities where you can watch this program. The town of Mamaroneck lost 4.5%, and as of April 1st of last year had a population of almost 28,000. The village of Larchmont population is down 2% and stands at 6,200. The number of residents in the village of Mamaroneck is now at 17,500. That's down 1.7%. Overall, the population in Westchester is up by 1% and at the 875,000 mark. The concentration of residents is still strongest in the southern communities of Westchester, but the north shows the strongest growth.
The big budget battle in the Mamaroneck School District is still raging. The school board has even scheduled more informational meetings, which you can find out about the details by calling the superintendent's office. And speaking of the superintendent, Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News School News reporter Monique Citron spoke with Norman Kolb about trimming the $47 million Mamaroneck school budget even more.
We thank you so much for coming to see us during these difficult budget times. Now, the last time you were with us, Superintendent Kolb, you told us, basically, rest assured there wouldn't be any teacher cuts. Can you comment upon that now?
Yes. Of course, that's the story that's getting everybody's attention. I recently proposed a budget for the school board's review that calls for very substantial cuts in staff, including approximately 19 teachers in this district.
When are these cuts going to take place? And
well, if the board approves that plan, and it may not, those cuts would become effective for the next school year. But it's a very controversial plan because everybody, the superintendent included, is really grieving over the loss of this much talent to the district. You know the background to this. This is nobody's choice of how to staff a school. But we have learned that the governor, responding to his fiscal crisis, is making massive cuts in state aid to education. Mamaronec's piece of that cut is $3 million. That's a lot of money. And we've cut and cut and cut. And now the board is entering a very difficult month of deliberating their vision of what the school should look like. Listen, Monique, we are all taxpayers. We are all very sensitive to the fact that the economy is in a recession. We have to have a school system that is an excellent place for kids and also reflects the fact that taxpayers are really in hard times. Striking that balance is no easy thing. I've presented a plan. It may have tilted one way too far. Nobody wants to erode the quality of the school system. Has my budget done that? That's the board's to decide.
I hope this is an ongoing conversation. And
I hope so.
Again. Thank you.
The school district is not the only area where the purse strings are getting tightened. Higher county taxes and the subject at last week's Town of Mamaroneck Council meeting. Councilmember John McGarr explains.
Last week, the town council meeting was announced. We've got the final figures from the county, and the tax rate from the county will be $128.76 per thousand valuation.
What does that mean now?
This is it's the second year in a row where the amount of the county tax is greater than the amount that a resident would pay for their municipal services to the town of Mamaroneck.
How much of an increase is it over last year?
It's a 14% increase, but for an average house assessed at $20,000, it works out that the county tax is at $2,575, which is an increase of $314 over the 1990 levy.
Where does the county money go? I mean, what actually are we paying for?
Paying for the services of the county, the administrative services for the hospitals, for the county police force, and for the mandated programs that the county has to carry out.
Now, these mandated programs, these are programs the state legislators vote for but don't want to pay for.
Have moved them recently to the county level. And I think that while we in the town are working on our taxes, that it's important for the residents to recognize that this magnitude of the taxes being levied by the county, and whatever actions and interests that they can show to work through the county legislation.
What are the mandated programs? What are some of the major ones?
The health programs and services.
Okay, now, I also was under the impression that the town was about $775,000 in the hole.
For 1990, where the town wound up, that the budgeted revenues from all sources exceeded the budgets by about 5%. Expenditures were up by about 2%, by about $300,000, and that the net result is that the revenues from all sources exceeded the expenses by about $350,000, $345,000. So from an operating point of view, the town wound up 1990 in a positive position.
Special education in the Hommocks Middle School. A few more students to teach this year, and Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News reporter Barbara Brown has the story.
I spoke with Norman Kolb, who said that the class size for special education would not be affected in the Mamaroneck School District. I then spoke with Nora Mazzoni, a special ed teacher at Hommocks, for her reaction.
I think that the district has shown that even though now we have a cap of 12 in our classes, that doesn't necessarily mean that all classes will have 12, which is the case where I teach also, in the Hommocks.
What is the current size of your class?
I have 10 children. I can have up to 12, but it's very rare that I do so.
And how many special ed classes do you have at the Hommocks?
There are 5 classes at the Hommocks, 2 resource rooms for learning disabled children, and another self-contained program that has 2 teachers working within it.
And I believe that you have a number of children here who are tuitioned in.
We do. It depends on the year. The only time that we've taken tuition students are really within my program if I have a small class and would like to see it be a little bigger to give greater socialization for the kids, but never reaching 12. We've never done it to fill a program. We never fill a program to capacity because you want to leave room in case, you know, you have in-district kids who are moving in. But yes, I have several tuition students.
The Larchmont Mamaroneck Senior Center behind the Larchmont Library has a new call-in service. Ann Frimmett describes the service that she and Barbara Whitney help provide.
Citizens who live alone are concerned about becoming ill or having an accident and not being able to get to the phone to call for help. The Larchmont Senior Center now has a program which addresses this problem. Subscribers are called each weekday morning at a pre-selected time. If there is no answer within half an hour, the service will check on the subscriber and obtain help if necessary. There is no charge for the service. Residents of the town of Mamaroneck, village of Larchmont, and the village of Mamaroneck are eligible. If you are 60 or over, live alone, and would like to be added to our calling list, please call Ann Frimmett at 834-8840 to request an application. This program is also open to the handicapped of any age.
And thanks to Alice Modell for the camera work on that story and a couple of others you'll be seeing on this news show. This is probably as good a time as any to ask you to help us with some of your video. If you have some of a particular event or activity, isolate your best minute. Give us a little storyline, and you'll be part of the Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News Team.
Next to the Larchmont Railroad Station on Woodland Avenue, some newly painted rectangles on the street and a new guardrail to assist in parking. For the moment, at least, don't park there, like the signs say. The Larchmont Village engineers say when the meters go up, the no parking signs will come down. And that's it for another edition of Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. If you joined us late, not to worry. This program is repeated every weekday night at 7:30 and 12:30. A new program begins every Monday night. Also, you can call up Request TV anytime and schedule a showing on Channel 36, this very same station.
Also, this is a community volunteer effort, and it's a fun way to give back something. If you'd like to see how we put this program together, stop by on a Thursday night in the LMC-TV studio in the Palmer Avenue unit of the high school. It's up the stairs across from Walter's Hot Dogs, anytime after 7 on Thursday nights. Come and take a look.
Thanks for watching Larchmont Mamaroneck Community News. I'm Roger Norham.
And I'm Bill Littauer. We'll see you again next week at the same time.